So then we know like what doesn't work. Our children don't. We don't want our children to experience our same failures. We've already experienced those failures, right? I don't want my children to go out there trying to sell dope because I already know what it will get you. I want my children to experience what? New failure. Failure that we don't know about. That's fine. Because failure is the tuition to success. The only way that you can be successful is if you fail. So I've taken my failure and I've turned it into my success. I can't be who I am if it wasn't for who I was. When you see the logo, I can't be this guy on the right-hand side without that guy on the left-hand side with the 355519 on his chest. That needed to happen to establish this guy on the right-hand side in front of his family. That couldn't have been done without my failure. So I want my children to experience new failures, but I don't want them to experience the same failures that I have already experienced and I know to be failure. And this is how they go to another level in life, is if they go ahead and experience new failures and they grow, and then guess what their children will do? Experience new failures, and then they won't experience the old failures that they parents have experienced, that my children have experienced, and my grandchildren will experience new failures, on and on and on. And that's how we continue to level up in society, continue to evolve. But when that information doesn't transfer, what happens is that, man, people continue to see generations after generations experiencing the same failures because the information is not transferring. That means that I'm in the projects, my grandchildren will be in the project, my son will be in the projects, my grandchildren will be in the projects. Because why? Because the information is not transferring. Why is the information not transferring? Because it's not no strong positive relationship for that to get done. It is barriers between you and your children. That is a negative relationship. The way that we get influenced is through a positive relationship. And it is no shortcuts to a positive relationship. The longest route to success is what? The shortcut. You try to take the shortcut all day long, you're going to go right back to go. Go to jail. What is it? Go to jail, back to go. Go to jail. What's Monopoly? Pass. Don't pass. Go. Whatever. Go to jail. Go right. Don't collect $200. Go back. Go straight to jail. Go back. That's the shortcut. That's what the shortcut gets you. Right. And then go right back and go without collecting $200. You can only do that so many times before you land on my property. And you have to pay because I got hotels on my property. Pay me everything. This is the type of Monopoly player I'll be too. People be looking at me on my hand, be all in their face. I'll be like, come on, man. Like, they be like, man, get your hand out my face, man. They be fumbling through their little money they got. They know they low. They like, I say, man, you ain't got nothing but them pink bills. I see the pink bills like the fives or something. I say, man, you ain't got no more yellows. You can't stand that dang on. You can't stand that hotel, man. That hotel about to break your back, right? You done went to jail too many times. Like, you turning over your property now. You mortgaging stuff, right? Like, you about to sell your piece. Go ahead and sell your piece back to the bank, man. Sell that little car back to the bank, man. You know, I want it all, man. But that's crazy, man. You know, so then that's the longest route to success is the shortcut. So we want to make sure that we just do the work so we don't have to redo the same work again. Right? That's what it's about. So what do we get from a positive relationship? Influence. That's what we get is influence. So how do we establish that strong positive relationship, man, with our children? The first thing that we got to do is what? We got to determine what type of father that we are going to deliver to our children. That's where it starts at. Right. How many of us, for real, before this class, how many of us thought about that? Like, man, what type of father am I going to be? How many of us thought about it, or was we just like, man, I'm just going to do what needs to be done? When I was 19, that's what I thought about with my 3-month-old son. Well, not my 3-month. When I was 19 and I had my son, I said, man, I'm just going to be, the father that I need to be, But what does that look like? Let's be specific. I'm not specific with what I'm saying. What does that look like? Right. Right. Let's be specific. The only way that we're going to be able to get it done is if we be specific. We got to start with being specific. That's why I got to say, man, what type of dad am I going to be? And let me go ahead and write that out. Let me really put some thought into it so I can get it done. Not just saying, man, I'm going to be a good dad. I hear people all the time saying, I'm going to be a good dad. Well, what is a good dad? What does that look like? What does a good dad do? Because if you don't have some specifics, dang, why that word so hard to say? Some specifics, right? If you don't have some specifics on what a good dad is, then how are you going to get that accomplished? That's where the thinking comes into place. So I can make sure that I'm intentional and deliberate about what I'm doing. So when I'm saying, man, this is the type of dad that I want to be, that's the first step to establishing a strong, positive relationship. Because now the child will feel that dedication and that commitment from me off the bat, because I'm not giving them any old father. If I give you any old father, then it's a good chance that you'll become any old adult, and our relationship will be any old way. And when it's that, then it's not going to be in the positive. More times than not, it's going to be in the negative, because we didn't really put in the brain, we didn't put in the mind work to be able to get it done. It's going to take us using our minds to serve the relationship with our children. So we want to really think about what we are doing. And it starts with us understanding what type of father that we're going to deliver to our children. So now, when we thinking about what type of father that we're going to deliver to our children, how do we come up with that conclusion? What do we got to do, fellas?
Change. Take the positives that we seen growing up and implicate that into what we do with our children. And also take the negatives and resist them out of it.
Absolutely right. So look, now, because when we say change, it's like, what is that? That's too broad, right? Change to where? Change to what? You know, now let's be specific, things that we can actually apply. So now when we thinking about, man, what type of father that we are going to be, what we got to do is we got to reflect. We reflect on our past, the interactions that we've had with our parents when we were children. That's the first place that we get that information from. Okay, so now we start to think about, man, what is the positive interactions that I had with my parents that left some positive feelings inside of me when I was a child? When you reflect and think about that, right? Have y'all thought about that? All right, name some positive interactions that you've had with your parents.
All right, so when I was growing up, my dad said we'd be out shopping, and like me and my brothers and sisters, we'd want something out the store. They'd tell us no, like, nah, we ain't getting that. Go to the car. We go to the car. Be mad. Dad would come out with everything that we asked for and give it to us.
That was You was like, oh, because I chalked it up, but I was mad that I wasn't getting it. And when he came out with it, you was like, surprised you with it. So you like the element of surprise, right? So he set you up as a no, and then he came through with the surprise. So the element of surprise left you with some good feelings inside of you in regard to your dad. Right. So now, what you will do now as a father is do the same exact thing. Your children will be in the store and they'll be asking for stuff, and you'll be like, no, not today, not today. And then what you will do is say, I'm going to get it all, and I'm going to bring it to my children in the car when they thought they weren't getting it, and I'm going to surprise them with it, just like my dad did with me. And it left the positive feelings inside of me. And I'm sure that it will leave the positive feelings inside of them. That's the first place that we got to go, right? Something else. That's good, brother. Something else. Christmas. What was that about?
Like, you know, as a kid, you write down little stuff you want, and you turn around and you get it. That's a hell of a feeling. Sometimes I remember a couple of Christmas, it wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And for that to happen, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was like, what? Christmas? Is it all like this?
Right. No doubt, man. No doubt.
For me to be able to do that for my daughter, man, that was a good feeling. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
I see the expression. It felt good to me to see her happy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's how it was.
Absolutely.
I didn't. All I wanted was a hug and a thank you. your gratitude. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? I
right.
don't expect nothing from you with that. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So, you know, it felt good. It feels good inside, you know. There's a lot of people unfortunate.
No doubt,
A
absolutely,
lot of unfortunate people, man.
absolutely.
You do that
Absolutely.
for your kid, man, it's really what's really matter.
So you know what that will do now as a father, you say, man, you know what? Hey, man, I liked it when I was able to write some stuff down for Christmas and I would get it. That left some positive feelings, even if it was the negative too, but we'll get to that next, right? But even if it was the positive, it's like, man, you know what? I like the way that felt. Right. So now when you are a father, now, instead of saying, man, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and buy everything that I want throughout the month and stuff like that, I'm going to start to put some money aside so when Christmas comes, I'm going to be able to get my children the things that's on their list, right? You see how you start to become intentional because you know what type of father that you want to be? So now when somebody says, hey, man, go ahead and spend your money this way, spend your money that way, and you like, nope, because I want to be a certain type of father, and I got to make sure that I have a certain amount of money for when that list comes my way, and I want to be able to fulfill the list because I want to give my children what I want them to have, what made me feel good when I was a kid. You see what I'm saying? You see how this stuff is applicable, man? This stuff is applicable. This is not like some stuff that we got to go out there. This stuff is just about making a decision. Will we do it? It's not about can we do it. It's not even about should we do it. The only question is, will we do it? That's the only question. Will you do it? Right? So that's good stuff, though. That's good stuff. Anything else? The positives that left a positive feeling. And it can be anything. Remember, small things.
So one of my favorite memories is in 3rd grade. They had that week where your parents came in and explained what they did for their living.
Oh, yeah.
Out of 32 kids, 5 parents signed up.
Wow.
My mom took the day off work. She made props, brought it in, and told everybody how she made batteries for a living, how the batteries were made, and gave samples and examples. And I mean, I felt I was on cloud fucking 9 when I left school that day.
Oh, Tom, I can only imagine, man. Because that made you feel like, man, you was cared for, right? Because she really did take out the time and then to put together a presentation.
Yep.
That's powerful. So now, when we fast forward, how do we duplicate that? When there's something going on with our children, we say, man, you know what? I'm going to show up and show out when they talk about coming to the school because I remember how I felt when my mom did that for me. So I'm going to do that for my children. The same exact thing. We just duplicate the behavior. We duplicate what is positive. We give them the same exact thing. That's all we do. This is like a science, right? Like, this is what we do. This is how we get it done. This is how we deliver. That's the first step to delivering our children, the father that we want to deliver to them. So then that means that when we giving them that father, it's just not any old father. It's just not some father who's just wandering on in their lives, right? It's a father that is purpose. It's a father of purpose. Like, I'm walking with purpose. I'm doing what I intend to do. I'm not just on autopilot, just ending up any old where in your life. I'm giving you what I want to give you. How many of us be doing things and we don't even know why the heck we doing? We just been doing them for so long, right? We don't even know why we doing them. And if we really evaluated on why we doing them, then we wouldn't even do them because it's like no foundation to it. It was just given to us. And because it was given to us, we just like continue to walk with it. Some things that was given to us was not meant for us to be able to go to another level with. And we got to get rid of those things. But the only way that we can get rid of those things is if we evaluate it, if we look at it and say, hold up, that doesn't work with where I'm trying to go. We trying to go to places that we can't go because we got stuff on us that we shouldn't have on us. It doesn't work on our another level. So until we get rid of that stuff, we can't go to the other level. But the only thing but one thing that has to happen is that we got to literally, intentionally get rid of it. We got to push it off of us. So we got to evaluate. What am I operating with? So we duplicate the positive, and then what do? I identify the negative, and then we resist the negative. So then that means, what are some negative interactions that you had when you were a child with your parents?
All I had was
Right, and that's what I get a lot of times too. Brothers be like, right, like, man, the negative trumped the positive, right? And that be a lot of people truths, man.
Sad but true.
Right.
The difference is with my parents and me being a father is I never put my kids through what my parents put me through. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
It made me happy to do things for my kids, like regardless of whatever it is, you know what I mean? Whether it be getting them something or just giving them my time, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's all I care about. Like, yeah, I got money, but that don't mean nothing, just like you said, you know what I mean? It's that time. You know, I wish I had that time with my parents, because I ain't have it at all.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
So what was it like?
Out of foster homes and stuff like that. You feel me? So it sucked. It sucked. So to me, I can't see myself letting my kids go through that or feel that. You know, feel that hurt. You know what I mean? Because it's lonely. You know, I feel alone.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you is that your parents didn't offer you no stability, right? Growing up, you wasn't like confident in the stability that was offered. It was unstable, right? You didn't know where you was going to be at, whose house you was going to be in, right? That stuff created a negative feeling inside of you, right? That was a negative feeling to where you like, man, dang, as a child, you thinking like, man, dang, man, what am I going to eat tonight? Right? Man, is the lights going to stay on? Things like that. Negative feelings, man, unstable. And you like, man, I didn't like that. So now, as a father, we be intentional to not deliver our children that same poison, because that's what it was. It was poison. And if poison made you sick back then, guess what it will do to your children? It will make them sick. But we got to be intentional on not letting it surface in our parenting. And it can surface unconsciously without us paying attention to it. That's why I say identify, then resist. Because if I don't identify and resist, it will surface. I didn't like, man, I didn't like, man, when I used to ask my mom, and she used to say, man, she's going to be able to do something, but she couldn't do it because she was incarcerated, right? My father raised me and my brother. She was incarcerated. She would say that she was going to do it, and her word would fall through the cracks. Me having my son at 19 years old, because I didn't identify the negative and resist the negative, guess what surfaced in my parenting? The negative, right? So then that means that I wasn't able to be there for my son. Why? Because I was still in the streets. And I put myself in a situation to where I got incarcerated for 10 years. Because I wasn't intentional about what type of father that I'm going to deliver to my son. If I was intentional, I would have said, man, you know what? Me being in the streets, man, is not really taking care of my son. How is not taking care of my son? Because if I'm putting myself in danger, then anybody that I'm connected to will be in danger. Because I understand that, hey, if somebody looking for me, then they can get to my son to get to me. If they can't get to me, I understand that if they come in to shoot me up, then they're going to shoot my son up if he's with me. They're not going to stop at my son and say, I'm not going to shoot you up too. I understand that if I get incarcerated for X amount of years and I'm not there to be able to give my son the information that he needs, then he will be exposed to the environment that I was exposed to. So then therefore I'm not going to really be there for my son because of the decisions that I'm making, because I'm not intentional about what I'm doing. If I'm intentional in saying, man, you know what, I'm going to be there for my son, then that means that I got to make sure that I'm making the moves to really be there. I'm going to make sure that I get a life insurance policy. So if something do happens, guess what? They're not trying to figure out how to get on a GoFundMe account to bury me. They're going to have something from my passing. I do stuff to make sure that I'm there for my children. I don't just say it. I make moves to do it because I don't want that, because I didn't like it for me when I was a kid. I identify and I resist the negatives. If I used to look out in the stands and I had football and basketball and my parents weren't there, and I used to feel negatively about that, then guess what I'm going to do as a father?
Every single game, recital, all that.
It's going to be people that's going to be like, man, it's not that serious, Los. And I'm going to be like, but it is, because it falls in alignment with what type of father that I want to deliver to my children. It might not be that serious to you because you grew up with your parents in the stands, right? It might not be that serious to you, but it's serious to me because I remember how I felt when I looked up there and it wasn't nobody in the stands. Now, I didn't witness that because my father was always there at the games. So then that's what made me be there at the games. My father was always there, straight up. But my mother, she wasn't able to be there because of her absence. So that's what we want to really like dive into. We want to make sure that we don't give our children that which we already know to be wrong. All right? And then after we look at the positive, we duplicate the positive, we identify the negative, we resist the negative, don't let that negative get into our parenting. Now what do? We look outside of ourselves. We look at other fathers. We look at fathers on the TV screen, right? In the movies and things like that. And we say, you know what? I like the way that father's interacting with their children. We look at fathers in the community. I like the way that father's interacting with his children. You know, I want to do some similar things like that. When I look at Boys in the Hood and I see Furious Styles, the way that he's interacting with Trey, I'm like, man, that brother had knowledge. He was dropping knowledge. How can he not be successful with all of the knowledge that he was pouring into his son? He gave his son a step forward, right? A leg up because of the knowledge that he gave to his son. So I said, man, I want to be that type of father. So if I want to be that type of father, what do I got to do? I got to read books, right? I got to read books. I'm intentional on reading books, right? I got to do the work to gain the knowledge because the knowledge is just not going to come. You got to go out there and obtain the knowledge, right? You got to learn the knowledge. That's why I read books, man. I started out doing like 10 pages a day because reading is boring than a mug, right? It's boring. But I said, man, you know what? This is something that I need to do to be the person that I need to be for my son. I need to read because when you read, you start to tap into other people's ideas, other people's experiences. Your horizons start to broaden when you read. Reading is essential. It's fundamental. You want to read. It opens up a new world. You learn new vocabulary. The wider your vocabulary becomes, the wider your world becomes. Right? That's done through reading. So I said, man, let me read because I want to be that type of father like Furious Styles. You know? I'm getting into conversations that I need to get into when I get on YouTube. I'm watching YouTube videos that's helping me to evolve, man, introducing me to new concepts and things like that. I'm doing that because of what type of father that I want to deliver to my children. I want to be an informational father. So then that means that I got to go out there and get information. If I'm not getting information, then guess what? I can't be no informational father. Right? I look at my wife and kids and I say, man, you know what? I like the way that the Wayans brothers is creative with his children. I'm going to be a creative dad like that. You know, I'm going to go ahead and do I'm going to have some creativity in my fatherhood. Right? And that's where you get the double up from. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's where you get the double up. Right? Just to be able to go ahead and get my children the same thing that I see on TV or whatever may be the case that I like. Just pluck it from every place that I can to build this father that I want to give to them, right? And that's the first place that we got to start at in determining what type of father that we're going to deliver to our children and establishing a strong, positive relationship. We golden on that, fellas?
Yeah.
That repetition is necessary. That's why I repeat this stuff so we can lock it in, right? I know we done went through it yesterday and the day before, and we went through it last week, right? And we're going to keep on going through it until we get to this next page, right?